Is Trump, you've interviewed him twice, Matthew. You know him to some extent or read his body language. I mean, it's like nobody. Sorry, I take that back. Nobody understands Trump. Nobody. And to claim to understand Trump would put you on the firing line.
You're hilarious, yeah.
But is Trump surprised, Matthew, by how long Iran has kept fighting?
So Would
Trump be surprised?
So, great question. I've interviewed him more than twice. I was saying I've interviewed him twice since Operation Epic Fury started. And I interviewed him a couple of days prior to it, and I asked how we're negotiating.
When was the last time you met him?
Before or after Operation Epic Fury, you mean?
How many days back?
I interviewed him on, I don't know what day it is anymore. I just got it, I think Monday. I don't know. I interviewed him Monday. I interviewed him on Monday most recently. But a couple of days prior to
When you met him on Monday?
No, I called him.
You called him on Monday?
On Monday night.
Tell me what you said. What was your conversation like?
That was what I already categorized.
I'm always curious about Trump.
Well, let me tell you what he said before the thing.
Was that an interview?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
What did you say?
So I asked him, in essence, how were the negotiations going? Again, this is before I or the Iranians, of course, had any idea what was going to happen with Operation Epic Fury. And one of the things that he said to me was, you know, the Iranians, they've stopped killing the protesters, then they resumed killing the protesters. He said they halted, I think it was 837 executions. So he was trying to give them a reason to almost be trusted. You know, they would say, hey, we've stopped gunning down all of these protesters in the streets, and then obviously...
Which means he wanted a way out.
Look, I mean, you see, Trump is
Which means he wants a way out.
Trump is very hesitant to deploy force, but then when he does it in...
This is very interesting, viewers. Douglas, you need to respond to this. Ladies and gentlemen, viewers watching this, Matthew Foldy, the editor-in-chief of Washington Reporter, spoke to Trump on Monday.
Yeah.
Today is Friday. He spoke to him on Monday on the phone, did an interview. And in that he says, Colonel Douglas, that he said that, you look here, there were protesters being killed and that's not being killed. So he was trying to make it look like the war which had begun,
Arnab,
the killing of Khamenei had got some advantage.
That was what he said to me before. The
before?
Conversation about how Iran had stopped killing protesters, that was from an interview I did prior
to Khamenei.
Post-Epic Fury, one of the things he said in an interview that I did with him was, for the Gulf states that are under attack by Iran, stay strong. You are going to get your chance to hit back at Iran, which does...
Why would they hit back?
Which does suggest that there will be a prolonging of the conflict. Why would they hit back? Because they're getting hit. So and then let me just wrap this point by saying, look at what he did with Venezuela and the negotiations with Maduro, where he had him negotiation after negotiation after negotiation. At some point, we all lose patience. Trump lost patience. Delta Force goes in. Maduro sitting in a prison in New York City.
In this, it appears to me, Colonel, that it's possible that Trump has miscalculated, Colonel Douglas, from what it appears to me, right?
Well, President Trump has relied almost exclusively on what I would call the Israeli narrative, which is what you're hearing from the American that's just spoken. This is the narrative that is trying to convince the world that...
Well, actually, it is the American narrative, but that's fine.
This is the state that has to be destroyed, and if we don't destroy it, we're not going to save civilization and so forth. Look, if you're interested in Islamic terrorism, you'd be much more focused on Pakistan, or for that matter, on Syria right now, which is headed by the alumnus of ISIS, Al-Qaeda, and Al-Nusra, and is killing Christians, Shiites, and anything else they don't like on a routine basis. So that's a lot of nonsense. I think that President
Douglas,
Trump,
if you want regime change in Pakistan and Syria, I mean, you can make the case for that.
I think that, no, I don't want to go to war with Pakistan. I'm simply pointing out that if you're looking at Islamist terrorism, you're looking in the wrong place. The bottom line is this. Yes, lots of miscalculations were made, but that's from Mr. Netanyahu. That's from the Israeli intelligence telling him repeatedly over and over and over again that this will not be difficult, that the regime is so unpopular it will be easily toppled. That was always a lie. It never made any sense. And now we are in a war that just is not going to end. And contrary to popular belief, you cannot bomb this regime out of office. It won't work.
That is my most worrying fact here, General Dayal. When I speak to people, 7 out of 10 people are saying to us tonight, this is not ending soon.